What's up, friends and family all over the world and fellow podcasters? I'm Darrell J. Bennett. Just got done with a great webinar for minority and women business owners here in New York City. I really want you to listen in. You're going to get a lot of great information. This is the beginning of a series of webinars we're going to be doing for minority and women business owners all over the country. And though it's virtual, we kind of focused on New York City today because, well, that's where I'm headquartered. But we're going to be going next to talk about Maryland. That's my home state, and Philly and Chicago and Atlanta and of course the West Coast and Texas. And so we're really excited about what we're doing for women and minority business owners. This is really in my station as the CEO and owner of the B Squared Global Group. What you're going to get a chance to see now is the first of a series of webinars that we're doing. Really insightful. It's really focused on how women and minority business owners can level up in their business, how you can get more opportunities, how you can work with the government more effectively, whether that's the city level, the state level, the federal level, the military level, but also how you can get connected with suppliers and vendors and prime contractors. You don't ever have to win the contract. There's enough people in the game that have won the contract, and you can connect with their relationships, you can team, you can partner. I'm talking about how there is over $4 trillion, I said with a T, y'all, trillion dollars that have been set aside for federal and state spending that's happening across the entire country. Everything that the government has, they've had to purchase, whether it's the labor or it's the tools that the workers are using, the trucks that they're driving. I want you to start thinking about B to B is great, business to business. B to C is great, business to customer. But B to G, business to government, is the way to go. You can have one client and exceed all of your revenue goals. So listen in for the next 45 minutes as I'm sharing some real powerful insight in real time and how to level up in your business, particularly around the government contracting space, and how you can really take your income and your business enterprise to the next level. If you want to get connected with me, reach out. It's so much that I have to share with you, and it's so much that I'd love to work with you on personally. And stay tuned because there's so much more to come. 2024, this is our year, y'all. This is our time. Thanks for listening. I'm Darrell J. Bennett. Listen in. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darrell J. Bennett, and I'm super excited to share with you all. I do want to show you a presentation, but if I'm on the presentation, you can't see my face. So I want you to know this is not AI driven. I'm an actual person. I'm really excited to be able to share the information I'm going to share with you today. Thank you for joining. This is really about us building a brain trust. This is the first in a series of webinars that my company, the B Squared Global Group, will be hosting. Same time, same place, same venue, right here on Zoom over the next at least 6 months. And this is not just about giving information. This is really about building a brain trust so we can start to tackle these larger contracts and larger opportunities from a higher, more strategic level. If there's one thing that I learned from my time at Harvard and other places where I felt like I was being exposed to a life that I didn't grow up in Baltimore, I learned the power of collaboration. And so I just wanted to start with that being my intention here. My intention here is to share some information with you about how, as MWBEs, minority women business owners, we can be more successful. Some of the things that's worked for us, our clients, and just to pass on, but also so we can begin to have a more robust and larger conversation around how do we collaborate, how do we team. Some of the biggest contracts that we got were when we stopped thinking about what we could just directly do and what we could leverage our partnerships and other folks in our networks for. So I want to just open up first by saying thank you for joining. I am going to share about 20 to 25 minutes of a presentation, and then afterwards, Just love for us to just you share a little bit about who you are, and we'll, kind of discuss from there. If you have any burning questions as I'm going through, please don't hesitate to. I know that the one thing that most of us have in common is that we all are either minority business owners or women business owners here in New York City. Starting next week, we're going to start opening it up to wider audiences. My home state of Maryland, some of the places we've done some work in, Chicago, Philadelphia, so we can, just build the brain trust. But I wanted to start with home because I think there are some things that are happening in New York City on the ground that probably aren't relevant for others, but it's something that could be, used for our benefit collectively. I want you to be thinking throughout the time that I'm talking today, and just even as you leave here, this is the question that I want you to have in your mind. This is really my big idea question. What's your next step? That's really what I would ask. I know that there are, and I don't just mean, tritely after this webinar. No, I mean in general for your business. What is the next step that you're taking? There are so many ways to go. I can just share a little bit about our experience with creating the B Squared Global Group pre-pandemic, so 2020. 2019 really, but 2020 in earnest. I can definitely say that one of our struggles where we did a lot of things, we thought we did a lot of things good, but really locating where you great, I found was the real gemstone. And so part of what we help business owners think differently about is, okay, there's a number of things you can be doing, and there's a number of things you probably will be doing, but what's that next step? What's the most profitable, or what step is going to be most profitable and purpose driven for you? What, not just direction are you going in, but what's that specific step? So I want you to be thinking of that for yourself as we go forward. The agenda today, again, if you just would allow me to just share a little bit in the beginning, 20 to 25 minutes, I want to start with how to identify more opportunities. Secondly, how to write winning proposals. Thirdly, how to market to procurement officers. And then fourth, how to partner to get more business. None of this stuff is stuff that I watched on a YouTube channel and I'm regurgitating for you. Let me be very clear. All of this is lived experience, either things that we've done particularly within our company, or folks we've helped people, or people we've helped, put it that way, whether they've been in our mentorship programs or coaching programs or just generally. This is really my passion. It took me a while to realize that I knew my passion was inspiring and motivating people, but I'm really, really passionate about inspiring and motivating people around their businesses. I believe that everybody has a business on the inside of them. And for those of you that know American history, you know that 90% of Americans were entrepreneurs in the first century or so of American existence. But with the Industrial Revolution and a lot of other things that transpired, people really left their family enterprises and it became more or less about, let me work somewhere else. I think jobs are great, but I think that there's more opportunity, as I'm sure you already know, because this is why you're a business owner, with leveraging that. But sometimes it's a shift between being a business owner and thinking like a business owner. So let's start a little bit with just how big the pie is. Now, I have a lot of conversations. I probably would say I have about 3 to 4 conversations with business owners every single day. It's what keeps me sharp. It's what helps me understand what's in need. It's what helps me be a better, really, speaker and presenter. But one of the things that I hear people say often, unfortunately, is, the money's not there. People aren't spending. The economy's this, the economy's that. I, I want to challenge, if that's you that's saying that, I want to respectfully challenge your thinking around that. The people are spending, so let's not think about it as money. Let's think about it as currency, and currency flows. Some industries have suffered. Absolutely. Some industries have outright shuttered, but there's also a boom in some industries and some agencies. So I want you to be thinking about not what has now gone from faucet to spigot, but what has gone from spigot to a water hose. And one of the things that we know, and this is why I'm a big advocate of federal contracts, is because they are, and I don't say this facetiously, but truly, they're printing the money. They're printing the money. So some of our biggest contracts came when the city was saying, oh, they're tightening the budget, they're tightening our belt, they're looking over our shoulder at every dime we're spending. Some of you, I would presume, are hearing the same conversations from procurement officers at the New York City level. Okay, maybe they're tightening the belt there, but I will assure you, at the military and federal level, they are printing the money and they are just looking for qualified people that can do great work and get it done for them. So part of what I want to help you do is to wrap your mind around the fact that the resources are there, the money is there. Now it's just about how do you position yourself. This is really a conversation as much about positioning as anything else. How do you position yourself in order to be most successful considering the market dynamics? Now, this right here, if all you hear is what I'm about to share with you over the next 2 minutes and you left, this would have been worth your time. I would like you to stay longer, but if all you hear is this, I promise this would have been worth your time. I have found, both through lived experience personally and through professional life experience and coaching, I have found that many times our success can be a big stumbling block for us. What do I mean for that? Because we tend to see where we were successful in the past, and that's where we focus on moving forward. And sometimes it's hard for us to get into our next because we're so focused on what worked previously. You know, it's the blockbuster syndrome. It was great while it lasted until streaming came along. So what do I mean by this? One of the things that I find is that many folks who are either WBEs, MBEs, at the federal level, even if they are service disabled, owned or veteran owned or hub zone certification 8A, what we find is people kind of find this niche, they dig in, and I think that's great. And while it's lucrative, but when it stopped being lucrative, they're continuing to look at a door that's closed rather than realize the room. There was always more than one room. There's always many doors. And sometimes, for lack of better terminology, we are praying for an open door when the door has already been opened and we need only seek it and walk into it. This right here is what my biggest push when it comes to business owners is. Don't just look at the one direction, meaning what? Government agencies. Now, we know if we split government agencies, I just want to draw your attention to the top of this beautiful wheel, as it were. If we just focus on government agencies, we know that there's the local level, there's the state level, there's the federal level, there's the military level. Super lucrative. We've already talked about that. But even if you decide, as some people decide, I don't want to write the proposals, I don't like dealing with the procurement process, I don't want the hassle or the process of renewing registrations and filing and all of that, there's good news for you because there's an entire world that's around government contracting. That means that you should be doing well, regardless of whether you are doing business directly with the government or not. One way, which you probably already know, of course, to prime contractors. So you can team with prime contractors. We work with people on helping them to identify other business owners. We have every minority business owner's information that is public information, at least, in the entire country. How does that help? Well, data makes sense. Data is the way we push the world forward because we're using that data to be able to partner people around, okay, why don't you work with the folks that already have the relationship? And many times the prime contractors are looking for others to either sub with them, team with them, or this is the neat thing, do business within their own company. We have one that we work with. They do DE&I work. They were only focused in Arkansas. We said, okay, why don't we position you to be able to do DE&I work for some of the companies that are in the government's face? So they're getting more contracts now through the sales process, through the companies, by offering the same thing that they were offering to just the state government in Arkansas at now the corporate level. And that's one way to look. The other way is to look at suppliers, vendors. What's the difference? Because I don't want you to think these are interchangeable. For our purposes here, suppliers are business to business, vendors for business to customer. So your best buy would be your vendor. They need you. They definitely need your services, but the Dell or Microsoft, or if you're using AI platforms, your Meta would be your supplier. And I want to show you this a little bit later in the presentation. We have a list of about 150 of the top suppliers in the entire government contracting space. You should know about them. You should be in their portals. So that way, you're alerting them of what it is that you have. Just like you would have sent your capability statement to procurement officers, and you've probably already done that. My question to you would be, how many suppliers portals are you already enrolled in? The same way that the government has portals to be able to show their bids, many of these suppliers, your Lockheed Martins, your big government contracting companies, they have a portal where they are inviting, asking, encouraging, cajoling, persuading people. Let me know what you do. And if you are minority certified, you definitely need to let them know what you do, because that's a tax write-off for them. That's the ability for them to be able to say, we're invested in the community. What does McDonald's say? 365 days a year. This is what companies want to be able to say, but do they know where you are? And then, of course, there's the MWBEs. We work with some folks, they don't ever get a government contract. They never even thought about working with companies. All they do is work with other minority business owners and women business owners. They write proposals. They identify grants and write grants, and they're doing extremely well. How? Because they reposition themselves. I would encourage you, before we just, because we're going to go further in the presentation, but before we get into some of the minutiae and practicalities of specific things that you could be doing, this wheel, take a snapshot, screenshot it, put it somewhere where you can see it. You need to be thinking, how do I break into each of these veins? You should be getting a check from suppliers. You should be getting a check from prime contractors. You should be getting a check from some government agency somewhere, even if it's just a local agency. You should be getting vendors. You should be getting vendors checks, and you should be working somehow with MWBEs. I'm not saying it's all around coaching. I explained to you there's a number of different ways. It's proposal writing. If you make signs, why not offer the fact that you make those signs and offer them to other minority and women business owned enterprises and contractors and consultants? It's a whole world around that. That's my thinking for you. How do you reposition? Quick story. Levi Strauss. Everybody knows him for the jeans. But what most folks don't know is that he went to California in 1849 with everybody else for the gold rush. He went to go get gold. And he quickly realized, wait a minute. First of all, I got here too late. What do they say? Buy the rumor, sell the news. So one, he realized I got here too late. Secondly, he realized the market was oversaturated. And Levi Strauss did something really phenomenal. What he did was he shifted from thinking about how to get gold out of the ground and instead how to sell to the people who were getting the gold out of the ground. And so the fabric that he created, which is the concept of jeans, was this concept of how can you wear something? You can't go out there in a tuxedo. You can't wear the same fabric. What fabric can be sort of stylish, although that really wasn't the thinking, but the utility, really, of being able to dig in deep soil. and we were about to graduate with our law degrees, and it was such a high moment. And I graduated from the law school. We left Cambridge Thursday. I was here in New York on a Friday. I'm not from New York. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I had never lived in New York, but I believe people come to New York to be great. And I believe that you have to leave your home and you have to leave your comfort zone to achieve great things. And I share this with you because this young man, then I still consider myself young, but I was really young then, just graduating from law school. I just felt like I had the world in my hands, and I did. But I learned a lot. And I put this picture up because though there have been challenges and though there have been setbacks and though I've learned a lot along the way and though a lot of things have changed, one thing has not changed. I still remember my why. And when I see that picture, I think about my why. And I put this picture for you because I want you to think about what's that for you. Maybe it's not a graduation picture. I get it. Maybe it's a christening. Maybe it's a birth of a baby. Maybe it's not personal at all. It's a professional milestone. What is that for you? Because as we talk about repositioning, we talk about navigating and changing not market dynamics. We talk about the fact that in the next 10 years, most of the jobs that we know today are no longer going to even be in vogue because of AI. When we talk about all the change that's headed on the horizon, you really have to be tethered to a strong why so you know how to navigate the shifting winds. So what's your why? What's your why? That's just something for you to think about. So here's some practical things that I want to give you as far as the how to. So let's start with how to identify more opportunities. The first thing is people, you want to have a contract capture management system. It's just a long way of saying, how are you capturing proposals or grants that you're writing, opportunities, leads, and how are you following up with them? Having them on different sheets of paper, different documents is probably not the way to go. I would suggest, and we have found this works best for the folks that we work with, and then just best strategies. Have a spreadsheet. Have a spreadsheet that is or actually going to help you to identify even what stage of the sale you're in. That's one of the things I've learned in sale. I've been an attorney, I've been a sales executive, I've been in media, I've learned a lot of different things, but the one career that has helped me most when it comes with winning government contracts and helping other people do the same, if it's not law, it would definitely be sales. Absolutely. And so I approach it the same way. I don't approach it, I say this respectfully, as sort of the entrepreneur mindset, which a lot of people do, which is a lot of siloed, let me figure it out on my own. No, 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 no. For one, I'm already started. I'm thinking about partnerships. I'm thinking about who I can partner with, who I can team with, but let me get to that later. But also, I'm thinking about how to capture it in a way where I can follow up, where I'm clear. So, do you have a spreadsheet? And before you even get a CRM, get a spreadsheet and bookmarking system. I would bookmark all of your proposals. If I'm you, every day, I'm setting aside 30 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour, where that's all I'm focused on. I'm focused on seeing what's new. So this is where those daily notifications and alerts come from. If you set a goal of every day getting onto at least one more procurement site, databases that are sending you information. I'm not saying to a point that it's overwhelming, but that it really narrows down what you're either A, great at, or what two you want a team on to work with others. You have more leads. That's what you need. This is just a general sales term. You need more leads. Now, we're going to do a whole webinar on each of these slides, these how-to slides I'm going to show you. So it's no way in this time for me to go through how to get into the state and how to register on the federal level. We'll do a whole webinar just on that. But I do want to alert you that you should be doing it. It takes a little bit of time, especially at the federal level, but I promise you, it's worth it. By show of hands, if you could, emoji hand. I don't see any hands up. So nobody's at the federal level? Okay. Wow. Okay. Do
I
that,
am at
y'all.
the federal level.
You are. Okay, brother. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
I just
All
been
right.
looking for the emoji. I couldn't find it.
You could. Okay. I got you. All right. We need more of us. Okay. Can I just say that? We need more of us, at least in the room. Forget being at the table, at least in the room to be able to say, hey, well, wait a minute. I didn't get that bid. Because partly what's happening is there is a big, and I got to be careful, so I don't want to go off on this, but let me just say this for 30 seconds, if you would allow me. There's a big push towards social justice, which is great. But while that's happening on the second floor, let's not forget the foundation, which is economic equity. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. There are still too many barriers that keep people who look like us from meaningful generational wealth building opportunities. And so what we have to do is do our part, at least be in the room, at least push. And this is where my Morehouse is coming out. That's where I went to college. Agitate. At least if you're in there, you're able to say, okay, let me say this really quickly. Personal story. There was, and I say this respectfully because I know this will be out publicly, so this is no hard feelings for anybody. We all learned. There was a pretty sizable New York City contract that had a March deadline for. Deadline actually just passed. Well, we identified it 2 weeks before. So excited about it, went for it, sent in the quote. They reached out and said, oh, we can't accept the quote because you haven't been invited to the bid. I'm like, well, wait a minute. How is that not possible? How's that possible? I see it there. And like, well, you haven't been invited to the bid. So it's like, okay. So can you invite me? It's still 2 weeks away. They said, no, we can't invite you. So I went to the Bronx Barrow SBS career fair that they had. And I saw them there personally. And I said, someone told me that they couldn't add me because now I'm kind of like a dog with a bone, sort of like, this doesn't make any sense. This math ain't mathing. So I said, respectfully, help me understand. It's still 2 weeks out. How can I get invited? And I thought the whole purpose of us being able to see it is in MBEs and WBEs is for us to be able to action on it. So they said, oh, let's look into it. Kind of got the 102 runaround, whatever. All right. Long and short of it is we sent some correspondence to the same procurement officers that said that they weren't going to be able to do it. And we copied the director of SBS, Kim, I believe is his last name, as well as the commissioner for that agency, and said if the mayor's stated goal is to lower barriers for minority and women business owners, it seems, wholly at variance with that to have further barriers once we've identified an opportunity and there's still time open for the deadline. Before the business day even came, because I sent it at 4 a.m, which meant that the commissioner, I'm sure, hadn't seen it. The procurement officer reached out on the group thread and said, we'll be inviting you as well as others within the next 24 hours. So I share that because That was what I wanted. We didn't get. We can't change what other people may or may not do or have an incentive to may or may not do. I mean, we see what's going on with NYCHA, and I don't want to suggest that with any specific agency, but what we can do is what we can do. And so I shared that because hopefully everybody sort of takes from that, don't stop at the first no. We didn't come this far by doing that. And so we just need a thoughtful approach. So I'm just sharing with you what sort of worked there. And this is like anything else. The more people that are following up, the more people that are going to appropriate authorities, the more that we're going to get changed. All right. So understand on this level that, oh, and I see another raised hand. Let me finish this slide and let me get right to you. I just want to wrap this one piece up. I want you checking if you can. If so, look, create bookmarks because that's going to help you probably much better than just having isolated websites. And when I say bookmarks, I think everybody knows what I mean, right? You go into like Chrome or whatever your browser is, bookmark that, have it all under a list so you're easily able to check them. You definitely want to have your city agencies and your local agencies. So there's some local agencies that are portals that you remember, Pass and PIP, Passport does not allow you visibility into. NYCHA is one of them. Department of Hospitals and Health is another one. So when you say the DOE is another one, the MTA is another one. These are all portals where I'm not talking supplier portals now, I'm talking local agency portals. So if you think about that, there's really like 5 levels. We're just talking government agencies. We haven't talked about suppliers or anything yet. You're talking federal, you're talking military, you're talking state, you're talking city, and you're talking those. We're going to be offering a series of webinars that's going to begin to build a community so we can build a brain trust. We're going to bring in other speakers, folks that are investors, folks that deal with just the proposal writing aspects, folks that deal with getting business capital. I want to just begin to bring, and I already do this more on a personal side with motivation and inspiration. This is now us really doing this on a higher level for business owners, just bringing together a number of different assets. Now, we have specific offerings that we offer. We do help specifically with marketing and business development. We will help you reach out to those procurement officers. We have the databases. We can help craft the emails. We can write them, right? These are direct business services, which of course there's an investment for. All right, let's move to how to write winning proposals. Again, we're going to do a whole webinar on each of these sort of slides, but I know right now all we can do is a 30,000-foot view. The first thing is to study past successful proposals. You can find a lot of those online. The better you know a blueprint, the more you're going to be able to follow it. And there is a blueprint. Hire a proposal editor or writer. It's worth the investment. Even if they're just working one-off with you. I'm not saying someone you have on your staff, so hire might be a strong word. Contract out to have someone come in and say, look, I need you to write this. Show them, don't tell them. What do I mean? This is what we learned when we were doing speaking conferences and they were speaking to us about how to be better speakers. Show people. What do you mean? Don't just tell them, I do this training, I do this, I do this, I do that. If you have videos that show product use, that show testimonials, that show what it is that you are trying to get across to them, it's better that you do that. Or at least complement your words with the videos. More people consume things by videos than ever. That can make a main difference in your proposals, including your proprietary assets. So this is where I get the opportunity to kind of show a little bit about. So these are some of the books that I've written. I wrote my first one when I was 18, and I'm only sharing this because, well, one, I was at Morehouse at the time, and there's a whole story about that. Basically didn't get hired anywhere, and I said, well, I can either have a pity party or write the book. I had a pity party, but I need to write a book too. But I'm sharing this with you because I found I take the books, and if I, not all, of course, but the ones that align most with the proposals that I'm sending, and I send a copy off. You might not have a book, right? But you have something that's proprietary to you. There's something that you have that's going to make them remember you. Don't hesitate to use it. You got to use what you have where you are now. So that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to share. And I wanted you to just see it, in real time, because sometimes I find that people have these things. Oh, they have the book and they put a brochure about the book. Yeah, but if you're going for a $150,000 contract, it's worth the investment. Just how to market to procurement officers. Now, we help with this. I'm going to show you afterwards. I'm going to show you a list of contacts. We have about 968 contacts of procurement officers at the federal levels, agencies, departments that are, that are looking for services. Instead of just waiting for the bid to come out, letting them know who you are is important. So you can, even if you don't use us, build your own list of contacts to outreach to. Some are found right online. Others are kind of found cheaply. You can pay for those or, lists, because a lot of it is public somewhere. Do a direct mailing campaign. This is one of the things that we found has made a difference for the folks we work with. Everybody else is sending emails. We were sending emails on behalf of our clients, and we're sending direct mail. It's a reason why you give to a church, or you give to a campaign, or you stop on the way to the subway and you say, I'll give to help save a cat somewhere, and you give them your mail, and it's a year later and they're still mailing you, because direct mail works. So you might want to sort of think about that. Attending events, of course, makes a big difference, and sending monthly updates. Be persistent. So maybe they said no before. Maybe Parks and Recreation said, we don't need you, we don't want you. No, I'm being funny, but we don't, need it right now. We don't have the money. 6 months from now, things could have changed. So how do you send an email that can update them without it being salesy? It's not you saying, hey, you ready to work with me now? It's, this is where I'm at now. This is where the company is. This is what we've been. How to build partnerships. The biggest shift that we made in our business about a year ago was to stop thinking about what we could directly offer: mentorship, which we love, teaching and development, which we love, as you can see. But how training, yes, coaching, yes, soft skills, yes, team building, yes. But how do we get bigger contracts and more opportunities? Part of how we did that was essentially shifting out of just thinking about what we could offer and what can our network offer. This was the way too for us to find a lot of contacts with people that would have otherwise not talked to us. So what does that look like? Well, one, I'm gonna start with the third point, which is pass along opportunities to other companies. If you see something that you can't work with, or even if you could work with it, the biggest way to get that company to have a talk with you is to say, look, I have this opportunity. Even if you're not teaming with me about it, I think you should know about it, right? Offer people value. You'd be surprised by what they might say in return. Hey, We got a coaching contract that way. We told somebody about an opportunity that we knew we couldn't use, but they were in our database. We figured they'd be good for it. And really, it was just work, just making the connection. One of my daily intentions, every day, I make one connection. I have found that has worked very well in my life. Just by every day connecting two people who didn't know each other, it has come back to me in so many ways beyond my business. So how do you market to companies with similar and adjacent NICS codes? How do you begin to, and we can help with this, of course, creating an offering where you're telling them this is what we also do for the companies. So go back to my D&I client, one of our D&I clients. We were able to work with them around, instead of just going to the government, let's work with these government adjacent companies. We found that that was even more lucrative for them. And then, of course, making connections. So this is where I'll end off, where I started. What's your next step? You can take a screenshot of this. This will lead you directly to booking a call. You can have a 15-minute strategy call, absolutely no cost. I'm going to tell you what I get out of it. I get the opportunity to hear more about what other business owners are thinking and doing. And I use that, of course, in how we create our offerings. But also I get the opportunity to be able to share with you how we can help you personally, how we can help you personally, how we can help you personally, whether it's with those direct business services around how you can have a check coming from each of these. You need to be thinking differently about it. Sometimes it's not a poverty of resources that we're struggling with, it's a poverty of thinking. We're not thinking the right way about what we already have. We want to help you think differently so you can position yourself for the boom that is happening. There's a boom in AI. We've got companies that are growing in our network. They're growing quicker than they have the infrastructure for. They're literally getting money quicker than they're able to handle. Lists in real time. So let me just pull those up as we talk. Please unmute yourself as you have questions. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Emmanuel, the young student intern who's the one who put all of this together and was making the cold calls. I thank him for that. You're not successful without a good team. So as I pull this up, please feel free to ask questions as you have them. I'm just pulling up for you a couple things that I just want you to see so you're able to see how so one of the things is, remember I told you a supplier portal. These are not government agencies, these are suppliers, right? And we just redacted some of this, obviously, because we want you to at least see that we have the list, the direct link, as well as the instructions. Every day, you should probably just every day might be a lot. If you did 2 a week, think about over the course of a year, you're now in 100 some companies' databases, and you're just there. It's not something you have to consistently go to. You may never go to it, but some of them are going to send you alerts. Everything from banks, as you see, Capital One. So these are big. If they have a supplier portal, that means they're looking for it. They're wanting it. They're desirous of it. So that's one of the things that I want to show you. The other thing that I want to show you, all of these things are things we built. So even if you don't work with us on it, hey, look, you can build this for sure. Procurement officers. These are procurement officers per agency. Everything from Space Force, which is a real thing, y'all, to let's go down a little further. Naval systems, that's one of my sea systems. They're always looking for leadership training. Anything involving like warfare, they're always looking for leadership training, cybersecurity training. Yeah, they're all into that. So we have the names, of course, what their title is, whether they're specialists or procurement officer, and their email addresses. And that lets us to be able to reach out and just so people know not You see, I don't want people to think it's like a just different ones you see. So as you see, right, it's different ones. And either one, we send those, out on your behalf, or we can do that directly. Let me show you some other ones again, because I want you thinking, this is one of the things that I learned. People always say, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, but you don't have to be born knowing these people. That's the thing. You can get to know them. So the more that you have lists that can help. So these are the partnership contacts. And what we do is we just try to keep a running list if I can get it to come up and act right, y'all. Okay, here we go. It was there for a second. Is that our partnership list? Okay, there's the partnership list. All right. And as you see, we, direct mail as well. These are firms that are this is a worksheet that we kind of put together, so that way you kind of know where you are. You want to be able to kind of check off all these things. Clearly, you've done these things at least. You're already minority certified with the city. Excuse me, but there are some other things here. Right? Registering with the SBA, registering with the state, sam.gov, okay, registering unison.global. That's another really good portal that's going to help you to see federal contracts at a wide level. And as well as certification. So this just kind of aggregates for you so you can sort of be thinking about where are you on this continuum? For marketing, how many prime vendors have you reached out to? How many suppliers are you reaching out to? How many folks have you done direct mailing to, right?